Greetings, everybody. It's Saturday. Saturdays at noon, you can watch this show right here on this Indiana Jack channel, Ask a Trucking Recruiter, and I am Indiana Jack. And today we're covering a very controversial subject in truck driving, at least since I've been here anyway, in trucking, and that is who is hated most. Who is hated most? A dispatcher, a recruiter, or a broker? They might be tied. I don't know. But we're going to talk about that today. Who is hated most of those three people in truck driving, because they're all known to be hated. I mean, if you've been a truck driver for very long, you know that. And we've all heard horror stories amongst ourselves talking in truck stops, coffee shops, CB radios, offices, wherever you are. Everyone has a story about one of those three guys that I just mentioned and that we're talking about today. Okay, welcome to the show. This is show number 7. Yes, we've been going for 7 weeks here at Ask a Trucking Recruiter, a show that is driven by your questions, by the way. So send them in to ask@askatruckingrecruiter.com. Before we begin, I would like to ask you a favor, and I haven't asked this so far on this channel, but it really helps if you would like the channel, share the channel, and interact as much as you can, because then it helps us grow, it helps other people know, it helps YouTube know that, hey, you're out there, you exist, and you're interested in the content. We want to have content that you're going to watch, right, or listen to, and help us by doing one of those 3 things, or all. Like, share, and subscribe to all your friends. All right, so we're going to give it let's go. Let's get started right out of the gate. Number 3, starting with a dispatcher. Why do we hate dispatchers? Do you hate your dispatcher when you were driving, or even though you're driving right now? And why do you hate him? Okay. And here's not only what I think, but what I've heard over the years, okay? We hate dispatchers because they lie to get us to do something. If you ever pick up the phone and the dispatcher says, oh, I need you to do me a favor. You know he's probably got something, a real horrible load for you that no one else will do, or something like that. So you catch them in a lie, whatever the lie is. I don't know. It could be anything. But I think that's the number one reason I would say drivers don't like their dispatchers, or don't disagree, or have disagreements or fights or whatever. And that is that the dispatchers tend to lie. Number 2, about a dispatcher. He says he told you something, but he really didn't. Right? All dispatchers have said that. The way that I fixed this when I was a driver, I trained my dispatcher to message or text me all conversation. I did very little calling, especially with one of those special things where it was involved. I'd say, hey, Freddie, text me that. I want that in writing so that everything is up front, so that we'll have a record of what we're talking about. So that's the number 2 reason why people hate dispatchers so much, is because he says he told you something, but he really didn't. That could go both ways, by the way. If dispatchers had channels they would have shows about the dumb things that drivers do. But we as drivers, we want to do shows about all the people that disagree with us. All right, C, promising he will get you home. That's probably the number one. Maybe that's the number one. Oh yeah, we've just got this load going to Wyoming, and then we'll get you home. We'll get you straight home from there. Those are the three reasons why people don't know or don't like their dispatchers. And you know what? You can make comments down below. Why do you disagree a lot with your dispatcher? What does he do that rubs you the wrong way? Is he Louis De Palma? He could be. All right. This show is driven from your questions. As we always talk about your questions right here on Ask a Trucking Recruiter. And Sorry D writes, it's not really Sorry D, but it's SRRY, something like that. D writes, can you do a show on engines? Cummins, Detroit, Mack, Volvo, and PACCAR, and compare the engines and talk about them. Yes, we have a show like that planned. You guys mostly want to talk about trucks, anything with 18 wheels on it, and we will give you what you want to hear. Anything about trucking is what we talk about here, not just recruiting stuff, but all things to do with trucks. Thank you there. What was your name? Sorry ID or Sorry 10. Sorry 10. All right. Question. We always talk about every week, Saturdays at noon, right here on this Indiana Jack channel. Our sponsors, number one, Nugo Trucking. Wants you to drive their Freightliners. They do have some positions open if you want to drive a Freightliner and have a good relationship at one of the last mom and pop truck driving companies out there. Call Gerald. Tell them Indiana Jack sent you. I'll put the link down below. They have just a couple of more trucks to fill, and we appreciate Nugo. Also, our other sponsor is Traveloko, where you get 85% of the rate con. 85% of the real rate con, not a fake one, not a made up one, but the real rate con. And also, you get to pick your own loads. That's why I became a driver there. And our last sponsor, of course, DAT Solutions. Go over there, tell them Indiana Jack sent you. You get 1 month free if you follow the link that I'll put down below, so you can get going right away and start finding your own loads. That's the funnest way to truck. Funnest way to do your own trucking business is to use DAT Solutions. I loved it. Okay. Oh no, we're going to talk about recruiters now. Why are recruiters hated? Maybe you don't hate your recruiter. I never hated my recruiters. I had 3 in my trucking career, and I never hated any of them. But here's why you, based on our discussions, hate your recruiter and hate recruiters from the past. And that is because they lie about what the job really is. You're talking to them on the phone, they're misrepresenting the company just because what? They want to get you to come on with them. We're not that way here. If you want to come over here, we want you to want to come here. We don't misrepresent anything here. Everything's the same from where the script is all the way to what's on your settlement, all the way to the end. It's the same information. No, a recruiter does not have to lie. If he does, You shouldn't be working for that company, recruiter. Another reason why recruiters are hated, they talk too much. They talk too much. I think a recruiter should be getting the information out of you, making you talk as the driver, not listening to the recruiter. Now, the recruiter needs to give you information, so of course he needs to do some talking, but I hate getting on the phone and just having someone talk and talk and talk without letting me interact with them. I always pause and make sure that somebody, if they have a question or something, they can ask it so they're not dominating the whole conversation. Another reason recruiters are the scourge of the earth, they don't return your calls. This is a pet peeve of mine. No one in business these days answers the phone. They always want you to call, they want you to leave a message, and then they call you back. I want to call when I have time to call, me being the driver. I always come from the frame of reference of being a driver. I don't want to call, leave a message, and then have somebody call me back. So that's a third reason why recruiters are hated. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Put your comments below. We'd all like to know what you think as a truck driver, because your opinion actually counts here. Your opinion. Okay. Question number 2. Priest writes, I own 2 trucks. Can I lease on to you and get a second driver to drive my other truck? This is a carrier-specific question. We don't mind those here, but yes, you can do that here. I know at most carriers you can do that hire owner-operators. With trucking as booming as it is right now, it'd be a good time to do that because you're making money not off yourself, but that second truck that you have just sitting there, that's going to be making some money for you. So, Priest, yes, you can do that. You'd be welcome to bring your truck right here. I can't speak for other carriers, although I do know that most of them you can. I don't think the big carriers you can do that. Maybe you can. Okay. Our number 3 hated individual in trucking. Do you think it's going to be a DOT officer? No, it's a broker. I think a lot of you owner-operators, anyway, would say the broker is the number 1 hated person in our industry. Yes, they lie. They do lie. In fact, I'll tell you this brief story. A load that I did, and I've told this on the Indiana Jack channel. I picked up a load in Idaho, and the broker said, go to this city and pick up. I go to that city, and then he calls me back and say, no, they changed their mind. It's not this city. You got to go back to the city where you started. So I said, okay, but you got to pay me to go back. He said, okay, and he sent me another rate con with a new amount on it. And the next morning, I go to pick up those potatoes, and everything went fine. I made the delivery. Those potatoes, by the way, were infested with cockroaches. I had to wash my trailer out after that, and it was just, because they were the last potatoes of the season that had been sitting in a warehouse for months and months. So a couple of months later, that broker, not a couple of months, maybe a month later, he refused to pay me for that second stop, even though he had sent me an amended rate con. So I can understand why you drivers hate brokers in that case. But you know what? Rather than just complain about brokers and say what liars they are, I never did business with him. I took him off my list and erased him so that I'd never have to listen to him again, never have to listen to his lies or deal with him as a businessman because he was unprofessional. I hope they, where he sold those potatoes to, I hope they found all those cockroaches. And you guys were with me on that load. And I don't think I mentioned that in the show, but boy, I had a lot of critters riding along with me on that load. Another reason truck drivers don't like brokers is they don't pay enough for a load. That's what some truck drivers say. Well, that broker bought that load for $5,000, but he's only paying me $3,000. That broker shouldn't get that other $2,000 because he's just sitting in an air-conditioned office. This is what truck drivers say. But in that case, you should erase that broker off your list, and if he does that to you, actually, you shouldn't even care what he paid for it. If you agree to do it for $3,000, even if he made a total, if he made $2,000, he had to go get that load. So I disagree with most drivers that hate their broker for that reason, because if we agree to do a load for X amount, then we can't complain, why is the broker getting paid such and such amount? They're trying to fix that, by the way. They're making a law that truck drivers will be able to find out how much the broker paid for that load. They're trying to do that. Another reason why us drivers hate brokers, the scourge of the earth. A load gets canceled at a shipper, but is not really canceled. The broker double booked that load and someone else got that load because you're at the shipper and you see who that load got picked up by. That happened to me on occasion where a load was double booked and I did not get paid for it. I was not happy with that, and that's not acceptable. Not acceptable. A lot of hate going on around here. We don't really hate anyone. We're just telling you information. Sounds like the liars counter at TA Truck Stop, when they used to have restaurants. Question number 3. Ali Bob writes, not Alibaba, Ali Bob. I watched your show last week about immigration, but I have one question. How can I come to the USA to drive a truck? I have failed you, the audience. I have failed. If someone watched that show and then they're asking this question, then I have failed to communicate. Because I mentioned to Ali Bob that I can't help you as an immigrant come to this country. And I said that multiple times through that show. Maybe you misunderstood, but I can't help you. I would like to. If I had a big trucking company, maybe I would bring over a certain amount of immigrants. If I couldn't find Americans to do the work, I would do that. If I couldn't find Americans to drive my trucks, I wouldn't bring over everyone to fill all those trucks, but a few. So I hope that answers your question. Again, I cannot help you come over here where I am right now. I just can't. As I said at the beginning of the show, make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever to interact with our company. Thanks for watching. I'm Indiana Jack, and this is Ask a Trucking Recruiters, Saturdays at noon, right here on this Indiana Jack channel. We'll see you next week.